All right, we got through some stuff yesterday. Not as much as I wanted to. But we got through even less in the afternoon. All right. We've been talking about major types of government, three biggest ones: autocracies, oligarchies, democracies. All right. And what are the biggest things about oligarchies and autocracies that you should know?
Kardashians.
Yes, obviously the Kardashians, because that's the most important part of everyone's life. But she did get robbed. She got tied up and stole about $10 million or stuff.
I was trying to watch the video.
But what is the most important part about oligarchies and autocracies that you need to know? The purposes of this class: military power, they have total complete power, and playing their roles for the peace. Then we talked about democracy. The United States has a representative democracy. Only a few places have direct democracies. Why do we not have a direct democracy in the United States? Yeah, we got too many people. What kind of places use direct democracies? Yeah, extremely small areas. We're talking like less than 100 people or so. Then we talked about some characteristics of democracy. Somebody remind me what liberty is? All right. I'll give you a couple more seconds to volunteer before I call on somebody. Somebody remind me what liberty is.
Freedom.
It has to do with freedom directly. Individual liberty is the exercising of your individual freedoms. If you didn't write that down, type that down. You want to get that down under there. Majority rule is minority rights. It means that just because you lose an election or you vote for somebody who loses, you don't lose any of your rights. Indo v. U.S., all U.S. citizens have their constitutional rights. We talked about free elections. Someone offers you a bribe to vote for them, what do? Take the bribe, vote for whoever you want anyways, because no one will ever know. And one person, one vote means that everyone's vote counts for the exact same. And then active citizen participation. Democracies count on their citizens voting and giving some of their power to government. Favorable economy. We talked about free enterprise and how the opportunity controls one's economic decisions and provides a base for making independent political decisions. One example I used yesterday was like big tobacco. How many of you have ever seen a tobacco commercial on TV that has been advertising to smoke or use tobacco products? Okay? Not a single one of you, ever, because it has been illegal for your entire lifetime. How many of you didn't notice that until this very second when I said that? That you've never seen a TV advertisement for tobacco? It's okay. You've never seen one, ever, because it's been illegal since before you were born. I very briefly remember them when I was extremely young. The reason they can't do that is because of Camel. All right, Camel is a type of tobacco brand, if you don't know. Basically, their advertisements was a cartoon of this guy named Joe Camel, and he was saying smoking's really cool, and you should smoke, and yada yada yada. Okay? Basically, they were, and it was determined in the court of law that they were kind of targeting that towards kids, because from a marketing perspective, the younger you get started, the harder it is for them to quit throughout their lives. So it became illegal. The reason I bring that up is economic decisions. So Camel cigarettes choosing to make those advertisements had political consequences. And cause their advertisements to get banned on TV. So now, where do you see tobacco advertisements? Two major places. Gas stations or convenience marts, like on their windows or doors, and magazines are their two biggest. Right? How many of you have seen vape commercials though? Everybody. You know why vaping is allowed to be advertised, but tobacco is not. There's no tobacco in it, and the law says tobacco. So that's how vaping is right. Even though they do contain nicotine. All right, and I believe the last thing we talked about was that states with stable economies are better able to handle democracy. Oh, we might have talked about. Yeah, we got to civil society, didn't we?
We're on
Social. Okay. Widespread education. Why do we need people to be educated in democracy? So that people are intelligent enough to determine which candidate better represents them, and they can critically think about the issues and make an informed decision. If we don't have an informed population, well, we would have people voting for God knows what. All right? Strong civil society. We talked about 4-H yesterday. Single greatest organization in the world, in my opinion. But it can be other organizations like voluntary associations, economic groups, religious organizations, any other independent organization that is not a government position. All right? And then social consensus, we all agree that people should have equal access to things. All right? Now, please don't misunderstand what I said yesterday about accepting equality for all. Equality for all means everybody has the opportunity to have the same things. However, there are things that exist in the world like hard work and education that allow you to exceed your peers and have more things and do better. However, you and your peers should have the equal opportunity to those great lives and those better things. So please don't misunderstand me when I say that. You should believe in equality for all. However, you should also better yourself as much as you possibly can. All right? Any questions before we move on to capitalism, the thing that makes pretty much every other country in the world hate us? For those of you that care, that was the end of section 3. We finished section 3 yesterday. And then this will be section 4. All right? Economics. We're going to talk about economic theories. So we're moving away from types of government, moving on to economics, money, how it's spent. First one we're going to talk about is capitalism. But before we get there, I'm going to give you a little background on things that all economic theories have. So economics is the study of human efforts to satisfy seemingly unlimited wants through use of, that should say limited resources. I apologize. Please do not type unlimited resources. Type limited resources. Does anybody know a seemingly unlimited resource that we have in the world? Water seems to be the only one that we know of currently. Everything else we're going to run out of at some point. Oxygen, yeah, there is less oxygen on the planet than there was 50 years ago. There are less trees to convert carbon dioxide back to oxygen. But there's still enough for everybody to breathe just fine. So economics, how do we take all the things that people want? Because there's unlimited wants, right? How many of you have everything you've ever wanted? Nobody, right? Nobody does. You want to win the lottery, and then you'll find out after you win the lottery you still don't have everything you want. It's because what you want is always unlimited. And it's always changing because new things come out each and every day. I'm still hoping that Apple announces some sort of keynote in the next week because I really, really hope they introduce a new Mac. Anybody like Apple freak type person? I'm borderline. I'm to the point where If it comes out, I get really excited about it, but I also don't like hate on Android and Windows users either. All right. I won't get the 7 because it's not enough different for 6 days. And also because Apple, the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone is next year, so I imagine they're going to do something pretty crap
Did you hear the video?
for the 10-year anniversary. Hear what?
Did you hear the video on it?
Of what?
They teased a video on the 50th anniversary guy.
The 15th anniversary of Apple.
The
Yeah.
iPhone that they're coming out with.
It's supposed to be pretty cool. It's supposed to be all wireless. It's going to be no plugs. It's going to be totally waterproof. And
The 50th?
which will be, it's the 10th anniversary of the iPhone, the 50th anniversary of Apple
Oh.
this next year. So they're going to do some pretty incredible things. However, the thing I want is the new MacBook Pro. Sorry, we're totally off subject, but we're going to go there. Okay. Everybody see that top line keys right there where it's a bunch of like symbols and stuff? The new MacBook supposedly got rid of the whole thing and made it an interactive touchscreen, so you can put whatever you want there. So like if you want Spotify there, you just touch Spotify and it launches Spotify. Or if you want like one of them to be your volume up and volume down, you can turn your volume up, volume down. Or if you want to launch Facebook, you just touch Facebook. It's totally customizable. I think that's incredible. It's amazing. It doesn't matter because that's just technology in the world. No, it'll probably be somewhere along the lines of what they currently cost, like between $1,200 and $1,500,
That's just.
somewhere in there. Well, I'll say this: I bought the last MacBook I bought. I was in high school, and I still use it. It'll be 10 years old next year. So I bought one computer in the last 10 years. Yeah. So most Windows users buy like 3 or 4 in 10 years. So the problem with it is because it lasts so long, it does tend to slow down the last 3 years. So I'm kind of struggling right now because of I've maxed it out on hardware. There's nothing else I can do. So, but it still works. I'll sell it and make some money off of it. So. Anybody looking for a MacBook? No. All right, and limited resources, right? So that's why things that are nice cost more money because they're made of things that we don't have as much of. How many of you have heard of the just absolutely soul-destroying news that we're going to run out of helium very soon?
Really? That sucks.
We do not have a lot of helium left. Balloons are not being filled with helium anymore. I know, they're starting to fill them with nitrogen compound. It doesn't last nearly as long. Because we're running out of helium, and we need helium to do a lot of different things like create clear bottles. Yeah. So, I know you would like to talk really high pitched, but national security, having fun at a party. We're probably going to lose that. Sorry. So, did anybody think of some limited resources currently throughout the world or in the United States? Oil. Extremely limited. All right? Coal. The United States is pretty much the only producer of coal in the world. What else? It's one of those things where you just say, well, we won't run out of it until I'm dead, so whatever.
Sucks for them.
Sorry, but I'm not an economics expert, and I'm not the person to tackle that. So if somebody asks me to like, hey, do you support it? Yeah, go. But I'm not going to be the one that does it because it's not me. So it's just one of those things. Like if you can't control it, you just gotta let go of your life. Right? Oil, coal. What else? Precious metals. The diamonds are precious. They're not metals, but they're like precious stones, gems, jade, gold, titanium, all kinds of stuff, right? What do you think was funny?
Oh, fantastic.
No. All of those things, they cost a lot because there aren't a whole lot of them. Okay? Anybody that has ever bought a diamond in their life knows they are not cheap at all. out of them. Because then I'm still paying off. Very close though. Very, very close. So we got like $800 left.
This one's something you work
A whole lot more than what I. But
This one's something to work on. Yeah.
something she'll wear for the rest of her life.
That's,
But it's
oh,
it costs more than I paid for my first car. I'll say that.
yeah, that's dumb. I'm thinking like the 50-cent machine that make out.
Yeah.
I make a ring for repairs or ring.
Three major economic decisions. So regardless of what economic class or what theory of economics you are a main believer in, these are the three things that must be decided. So this includes capitalism, socialism, communism. They're the three majors, right? How and what, or excuse me, what and how much should be produced. So what we produced in the United States, well, we can produce pretty much whatever we want. How should it be produced? Again, that's kind of up to the consumer, right? Not up to the business maker because they're not going to produce a bunch of stuff you don't want to buy. So if the consumer buys it, they'll produce a bunch of it. In other economic theory, socialism and communism, these are decided a little different. How goods and services should be produced? Should they be produced using this type of energy? Or should they be produced using recyclable materials? Again, in capitalism, that's up to the person that sells it, provides it. And who gets the good or services? And again, in communism, or excuse me, in capitalism, who's that up to? You guys. All right? Who gets the good services? People that can afford them. People that can pay for them. All right? So these are the three major questions that need to be answered. And we've got this guy here. All right? Now, please contain yourselves. I know he's a good-looking dude. But his name is Adam Smith. All right? Seriously, probably the most generic name of all time. Besides John Smith, right? No John Smiths in here. All right, John Smith, come on. If your last name's Smith, you better come up with a sweet first name. All right? But Adam Smith, obviously photographs didn't exist. 1776, when Adam Smith wrote his book, The Wealth of Nations. Okay? In 1776, when Adam Smith wrote his book, Wealth of Nations. There we go. Now we're good. And Wealth of Nations was about economics. And Adam Smith was the first to use the term that all of you know and love, laissez-faire. Laissez-faire. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It does not mean hands-off, regardless of what your past teachers have told you. That's not what it means. And that is not what it translates to in French. But we will discuss it. So Adam Smith is famous for writing his book, Wealth of Nations, in 1776, and is considered the father of capitalism. Adam Smith is considered the father of capitalism. And the father of tight curls. My goodness. All right, capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system where you are free to make the choices of the entire economy. Meaning, if you're a worker, you're free to choose which job you work in. If you are an investor, you can choose which ones to invest in. And if you are buying products, you can choose which products to buy. So regardless of where you are in the capitalist system, the main idea for you to understand capitalism is that you are free to choose. For example, how many of you have jobs right now? How many of you hate or don't like those jobs very much? Okay? So, what are you doing about it? You could finish school here and just continue to work there, right? Or you could finish going to school here and use the training that you received here at CTC and get a better job. And what I mean by that is it pays more money and you enjoy it more, right? Or if you choose to, you could go to a university, go to college and get a degree and do something that you think is better, okay? And I'll always say better job in quotes because a better job to somebody is a terrible job. Okay? Like my mother-in-law thinks I'm insane for teaching high school. She teaches 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. She thinks I'm absolutely crazy, and I think she's beyond. I don't want to say batch something, but that's what I'm thinking. Somewhere in there, because 5th grade and lower is just an absolute.
I think I'm fun teaching.
It'd be what? Hard teaching that age?
Have fun.
I thought it'd be that.
Oh no, it'd be awful.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible. Because they have to take all these tests. How well they do on those tests determines her evaluations and how well she does on those evaluations. So 8, 9, and 10-year-old kids having the power to determine whether you have a job or not is extremely scary. Because with you, I can say, here's a bunch of information. If you have questions, ask me about it. And you're going to say, oh, but I don't understand this. They're going to say, oh, there's a butterfly over there. They don't care. They don't care about anything, right? They just want to hang out. So you've got to make them learn without making them know they're learning, which just is a whole another layer that I don't want to touch. I just want to talk about economics. I get really excited about it. Seriously, I love talking about capitalism. Adam Smith. Karl Marx. Anybody know who Karl Marx is?
Is his name spelled with an X?
It is spelled with an X. But why did you say that?
That's the only thing I remember about him.
Yeah, his name is spelled with an X. I didn't know it was possible, but he's probably the only person uglier than Adam Smith in economic history. But there are 5 main characteristics of capitalism we're going to talk about. Number 1, private ownership of property and resources. So you are allowed to own your own property. And on that property, what can you do? Pretty much whatever you want. And according to the 4th Amendment, which we will discuss later on, you have the reasonable expectation of privacy, which means the government is not allowed to knock on your door and say, hey, what are you doing? You can say, none of your business, get out of here. And there's nothing they can do about that. All right? What they need are one of 2 things, a warrant or probable cause. They do not need both. A warrant or probable cause. And you ask, what would give a police officer probable cause? There are a few things. An emergency, like a fire, or somebody screaming, or gunshots, or blood. All right? Another probable cause is reason to believe that you may have committed a crime. So if they see you walk into your house with blood on your shirt, or if for some reason you're growing marijuana in your front living room and police can see it from the street. Okay? Not a joke. Seriously happened. Swear to you, we will talk about it later when we talk about amendments. Somebody was growing marijuana in their first story. The curtains were open. The police officer said, that's marijuana. And they knocked on the door and arrested them. And he went to jail. Yeah. So if you're going to do it in your basement. Come on. No. Obviously, don't grow marijuana. But, you know. So you're allowed to own property. Are you also allowed to own stuff? Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, my parents included, have decided to buy silver. Right? And silver is a resource that can be used to make different things. The price of silver was very low. The selling price of silver now is climbing, so it seems to be a good investment for them now. But the thing with buying things that are like precious metals, price changes continuously, so they could lose a ton of money. They could also make a ton of money, right? But that's capitalism in itself. Free enterprise. Wow. Didn't think this term would come up again, did you? Sorry, that's not funny for you. This comes up a lot. All right, free enterprise. You are, and if you don't remember free enterprise, you're free to make your decisions, your economic decisions, and your political decisions. Okay, so you can decide what to buy, you can decide who to vote for, and there's nothing that anyone can do to change your mind, unless you allow them to. Competition among businesses. We want competition among businesses. This is awesome for the consumer. This is the best case scenario. So, can someone give me, for those of you that know, what an average cost of like a home phone plan is now? I don't know. I looked it up last night in preparation for this, and to add to my, bless you, add to my existing internet service, because I don't have cable, I just wouldn't watch it, but it's like $20. And I can call anywhere in the United States that I want, and then some other territories. I don't know why I don't know. All right? $20. Then I looked up what prices were back before cell phones were prevalent, right? When I was a kid. I mean, when some of you were younger, they weren't really big till like early 2000s, 01, 02. So some of you when you were really young. And they were pretty expensive. Like $120 a month. Yeah, because you got charged anything that wasn't local, like as in within your city, was considered not long distance, but you got charged. You had to buy a plan. So if you wanted to call anyone that was in your area code, like 937, if you want to call anybody within 937, you were good. Anything outside of 937 was considered long distance, and you had to pay by the minute that you talked. Yeah, out of state was an additional fee. Out of the country was crazy. It was like $11 a minute. Right? And now you can call anywhere in the United States from your home phone, and it's $20. Okay? So why do I tell you this? Well, I tell you this because cell phones have driven home phone prices so low that these companies, in order to stay in existence, to keep it as a relevant business, their prices have had to plummet, and they have to offer more services for less money, right? Same thing with HGTVs. So about, not quite 10 years ago, I think 9 years ago, I bought a 1080p LG 42-inch TV. All right, all of you are saying, all right, whatever, so big deal. 9 years ago, that was a pretty big deal. 1080p had just started existing, and 42 inches was crazy at the time, like really, really big. And to give you perspective, I'm pretty sure this is 44. Okay? So when I bought this, it was a really big deal, and I paid like $1,000 for it at the time. All right? For the record, I got a PlayStation or Xbox. I got an Xbox. So it was a pretty good deal. Okay? How many of you would pay $1,000 for a 42-inch 1080p TV that looks exactly like that right now? Not a single one of you. Why? Because there are better things available for less money, because businesses have competed for your business enough that they've had to drive the prices down. Right? You can get 4K TVs pretty cheap, and I got confirmation from one of my students that works at Walmart that they are, in fact, and I said this yesterday, for fact, they are selling a 50-inch 4K TV at Walmart on Black Friday for $400. It's do you work at Meijer? It's so funny. I love it when people say Meijer. I really, truly do. My grandma says it. It makes me smile. She goes to Myers and Kroger's. She washes stuff. It's pretty. I love it. I love it. Keep saying it. Yeah, 50-inch 4K TV, $400. Pretty good from what I've seen. The cheapest I've seen is like a Vizio. They have like a 55-inch Vizio for like almost $700, and that's relatively cheap. So $400, good deal. So if you need a new TV, go to Walmart, throw some elbows. All right. All right. Freedom of choice. All right. Again, remember, there's nothing underneath of these, so we're typing some of the stuff we're talking about. Right? All right, freedom of choice. All right, individuals have the choice to choose one competitor over another for any reason that they want. It doesn't have to be a good reason. Like, I prefer Apple to Windows because when I grew up, that's all we had, and that's what I prefer. And I think that they make a better device than Windows devices do. I prefer their software. Has nothing more to do with it than that. Because somebody else could say they really love Windows, right? Which, I don't know, I guess one of my students said this yesterday, so I will ask you. How many of you know that Android is not Windows? They're not the same thing. Like, an Android phone is not related to Windows or Microsoft at all. Not even a little bit. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Android is something called Linux. Anybody know what Linux is? There's there's Apple, there's Windows, and there's Linux, which is a third operating system, and it's owned by Google. So Android phones and Microsoft devices are not super compatible.
Is that why iPhones have Safari, not Google?
Correct. That's why Androids have Google and not Safari. That's why Windows phones have that stupid new whatever browser they released. Edge. Yeah, Edge. They have Edge on it. So, anybody have a Windows smartphone?
I like Windows. I didn't like it.
What I tell my students have Windows phones, cite the 8th Amendment and make somebody replace that phone with anything other than Windows. Cruel and unusual punishment. I do not have to put up with this. I needed to. Because they break all the time, they have no apps available, and they have limited compatibility with anything as far as mobile devices go. All right, capitalism uses a free market, which frees buyers and sellers to make economic decisions. So a free market, if you're looking for a definition of free market, is a place where buyers and sellers are free to make their own independent economic decisions. Wow, as if you couldn't figure that out from the words that followed. All right? Again, this is another example of why I don't type out definitions most of the time, because they usually come just after that, or you're able to figure it out. All right, so you are free to buy and sell anything you want. And this includes things like Craigslist. Anybody buy stuff off Craigslist? You refuse to? It is pretty dangerous. Anybody ever heard of the Craigslist killer? Yeah, it's a couple years ago, this guy was selling stuff on Craigslist and was just murdering people whenever they showed up. So, if you ever do buy anything on Craigslist, please be extremely careful. Having said that, on another note, some of our programs here at CTC use Craigslist to browse prices for parts of different vehicles, different machines that we work with. Yeah. So Craigslist can be a very nice tool. However, I would say proceed with caution if you are going to do that. And then you already have this alone. You already have this on your notes, so you don't necessarily need to write it down, but put it in there again. Adam Smith coined the term laissez-faire in his book Wealth and Nations, 1776. But this is what a laissez-faire means: let alone. Let alone. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Speaking words of wisdom.
And it has, like, it doesn't have any.
Really? Where'd you find that?
It was under